just some things that I wanted to go over. And let me check my sound to see if everything is okay. Oh, it was a busy night in DC last night. Wow, unbelievable. Let me see if my sound is working over here, and then I'm going to get into this. I'm not going to be before anyone for too long. Let me just check my sound here. Okay now. Let me see if I can hear myself. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. I can't hear myself. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. So I am streaming live across I think Facebook. That's the only platform that I chose today. So much has been going on. I tell you. Matthew 24/7, almost Matthew 24/7. That's my verse that I want to focus on right now. But let me go into this group and see if my stories are set up. Because I got too many windows open on this computer, so I have to go to my phone right quick. And see. Yeah, I'm going to have to use the stories off my phone. The stories that I wanted to go over. Yes, here we go. So let me close some of these windows that I don't need. Well, I need all of the windows. I should have set this up before I hit the live button, but I didn't. I wasn't planning on going live today, but I have to say something about this that's going on. Okay, as soon as I set this up, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. I pray that everyone had a great Sabbath yesterday. I know me and my husband fellowshipped with the family yesterday. It was great. Great fellowship. And then after that, we rested the rest of the day. Went to sleep and didn't wake up until the morning time. Well, me at least. Okay, so as soon as this opens, come on, open. Come on. My computer is running slow, as always. I'm sorry to have y'all waiting. I should have set this up before I hit that live button, but I didn't. So I'm setting it up now as I talk, as I mumble. So I can shut this window. Just needing to shut some windows down so that this can go smoothly. I can shut this window down. And I can close this window also. So, last night in DC, a 17-year-old killed in 20 shots. 17-year-old killed, 20 people shot, including an off-duty police officer. This happened in Southeast D.C. last night. A teen boy is dead and 20 people were shot, including an off-duty D.C. police officer, early this morning, Sunday, at a block party in Southeast Washington, D.C. A block party, y'all. We're supposed to be practicing social distancing, but these people in Southeast D.C. decided that they wanted to go to a block party. The victim has been identified as 17-year-old Christopher Brown, y'all. 17 years old. Instead of staying in the house where he could have been playing videos or something, he decided he wanted to go to a block party. And now he's dead. Let me see if I can't share this video with y'all. Let me find it first. This is crazy. His mother says Brown's family isn't handling the news of his passing well, and the teen's aunt told reporters that he has a 1-year-old son and another child on the way. 17 years old. 17 years old. One child on the way. He got one baby and one child on the way. This is unbelievable. Police say that the off-duty 1st District police officer was shot and is in the hospital fighting for her life. Authorities say another 17-year-old was shot, and at least 11 of the 20 victims shot were women. D.C. Police Chief Peter Newsom stated during a Sunday morning media briefing. Newsom says there were multiple shooters involved in the incident when shots were fired at a gathering at approximately 12:20 a.m. in the 3300 block of Dubois Place, Southeast D.C. Dubois, however you want to pronounce it. D.C. Fire and EMS reports that first responders transported 9 patients from the shooting scene and 2 people from 2 other locations. Posters were distributed to promote the 34th and Eat 5th annual Cookout Block Party, and it was advertised as a drama-free event with food and liquor provided. Currently, there is no suspect information related to the shooting. So this was an event that was distributed and promoted by flyers. It was called the 34th and Eat 5th. This is the 5th year. I've never heard of it before. This is my first time hearing of it. I would have been out there anyway, especially during this pandemic. Nope, I wouldn't have been out there. I'm trying to find the video that was in this group. It seems like someone may have taken it down, or let me see. It was just chaos all over the place. So someone says, when you don't love yourself and don't love yourself and don't know who you are, it is easy for you to bring a machine gun to a peaceful event and instantly take someone's life. That ain't gangster, that's a coward. It's very sickening, says Councilman Trayon White. We can't even argue. This is why people call us savages. This is exactly why. Apparently, black lives don't matter. Black lives don't matter. I'm so sick of it. Somebody put up a Black Lives Matter, so let's stop killing each other. I ain't even going to respond to that. I was going to respond, but I'm not. I'm not even going to respond. So let me see if I can share this video. They're not getting it. They are not getting it. Chaos, and they think it's cute. First thing you see here is a smile on this brother's face, like, and they holding up gang signs like it's cute. Let me see if I can't run it again. Look at the chaos. Chaos. 17-year-old boy shot, a 17-year-old boy killed, and 20 people shot, including an off-duty police officer. She is fighting for her life. Let me read this Bible verse to y'all. Matthew 27, King James versions. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. These people are fighting against each other, killing each other. These young black people fighting against each other and killing each other. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Y'all think that verse talking about China and Korea or China and the United States. But the nations right here amongst each other fighting and killing each other, rising against each other. 17-year-old killed and 20 shot last night or in the wee hours of this morning at a block party, which was supposed to be a peaceful event in Southeast DC in the wee hours of the morning, like I said. It was supposed to be a peaceful event, but it turned out to be chaos. Why are you having a block party in the midst of a pandemic anyway? I don't understand. I really don't. I really don't. And so the Bible verse says, and there will be famines. And there will be famines. How many of y'all know that there is a food shortage across the United States of this here America? Food shortages across the United States of this here America. Thanks to this coronavirus, There are a lot of food shortages going around. I should have closed that window because now I can't find my article. So I'm going to have to search for it again. Food shortages in 2020. Food scarcity is on the rise in America. Food scarcity is on the rise in America as the economy reels. Food scarcity is on the rise in the United States of this here America as the economy reels. So last night we had this mass killing in DC where a 17-year-old boy was killed and 20 other people shot, including an off-duty police officer who is in the hospital as we speak, fighting for her life. Mm, mm, mm. When are we gonna get it? Are we ever gonna get it? Are we ever gonna get it? Will we ever get it right? Somebody say something to me. So, food scarcity is on the rise in America as the economy reels. Mm, mm, mm.
Damn, bro, that door again, man.
Savages. Savages. Mm, mm, mm. So, oh Lord, have mercy. So, I was saying that there was a food shortage going on. We talking about Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Last night, again in DC, um, there was a shootout in Southeast DC where one 17-year-old was killed and 20 shot, including an off-duty police officer who is fighting for her life. The 17-year-old had a son and one baby on the way. This event was planned, I guess, by the city council in DC. It was called, what was it called? It was called, huh? No, it was called, I just said it. I just had it. 24/7 News. This is 24/7. News after. There were multiple shooters involved in the incident when the shots were fired at a gathering, and the gathering was called 34th and East. 34th and East. Nations against nations killing one another. Matthew 24:7, y'all. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's happening. So I was just talking about the famines. Famines. There is a food scarcity in the United States of this, across the United States of this here America. And I want to share this video right quick so that you can see what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can't get this video to play. It says 40 acres fresh market. Let me see. Fight for food. Wow, this is going down. If y'all don't have that hedge of protection around you, you better ask for it. You better pray for it. Take the word seriously.
I see what's possible instead of what's here. Others see cracked concrete, broken back.
Start following the laws and commandments
I see a way to bring
the best way you can,
pride back to communities.
because it's going down. Yeshua HaMashiach is on his way back to receive those, his brothers and his sisters. And if you're not ready, you're going to be left behind. You're going to be taken up. And taken up doesn't mean you're going to be taken up to heaven. Taken up means God going to kill you. The Most High is going to kill you.
Inequality in America impacts all aspects of life, including access to food. So one of our producers, Jamie Song, spoke to a small business owner based out of Chicago who has been fighting for food equity in underserved areas. And she says she wasn't surprised at all by the protests we saw across the country.
When Liz Abuna set out to launch her startup grocery in Chicago's West Side, she wanted a name rooted in history that would also articulate her mission. 40 Acres Fresh Market.
It's an homage to the unfulfilled promise to freed slaves for 40 acres and a mule. First, I wanted a name that was distinctly Black, particularly Black American, because the issue of not having access to healthy food where we live particularly hits our communities hard. And I find it to be a cruel irony that the people who basically built this country were our country's first farmers who were so tied to the land, now live in land where they can get nothing that comes from the land.
2 years ago, Abuna started organizing pop-up markets with fresh produce in the Austin neighborhood to address what she calls a food apartheid.
It was this very eye-opening look at this tale of two Chicagos, how some neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods I've always lived in have been predominantly white neighborhoods, middle-class to affluent neighborhoods, and then I'm in a Black neighborhood. I can't find basic things. If you want to change this neighborhood so that it is no longer an underserved neighborhood that is living with food inequality, you have to be part of the neighborhood's actual permanent infrastructure. And that has been my goal from day one.
40 Acres was in the process of opening a brick and mortar location when the coronavirus pandemic put their plans on hold. Their pop-ups were canceled and the team suddenly saw a surge in demand for grocery deliveries.
We got a lot of orders to deliver.
It turned out that our small little delivery service that barely served one person a day was all of a sudden serving over 200 people a week throughout the city.
While fighting for equity and food access, Abuna is also witnessing Chicagoans protest on the streets for justice.
I think that when we talk about what's happening right now with the abhorrent murder of George Floyd by 4 former police officers, it's a larger picture of inequality from how we're treated by police, how laws are applied to us, to the homes in which we live, to how lenders treat us. It's the same inequality that people just keep kicking the can down the road, and it manifests itself in every single aspect of people's lives.
So with the Westside community, Abuna is looking to build a feature that champions economic justice.
I don't remember a time in this country where massive change happened without some type of pain. I know as a small business owner, I would never want to see my business go up in flames. I would never want to see my business looted. I would never want to see my neighborhood trashed. I don't want anybody getting hurt. But am I surprised that this is where we are? No, I'm not surprised. You can only pile inequality that people know is going on people for so long before it explodes. But maybe it doesn't have to get to a full-blown explosion if we realize what's happening now and make the fundamental changes, not lip service, not surface changes. It's policy, it is structural. So my hope is that people are smart enough to see what's happening now and engage and dismantle why there was even a need for 40 acres in the first place.
And so there you have it. Food scarcity across the United States of this here America, y'all. When are we gonna look to the Most High Yah? When are we gonna start looking to Him? It's right here in our faces, and we still don't want to believe the word of the Most High. We still don't want to believe it. Matthew 24:7, for nation shall rise against nation.
Good health is
and
everything
kingdom
these days,
against
and managing it from
kingdom.
home has never been easier. Everlywell is the leader in at-home test collection.
Nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. The number of American families struggling to put food on the table has seen a substantial increase since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. The Federal Reserve of St. Louis said in a new analysis of the Census Bureau. The coronavirus pandemic, that's another part of Matthew 24. That's a pestilence. The coronavirus is a pestilence, and it's a pandemic, meaning that it's in every country across the world. That's what that means. It's a pandemic. Food insecurity, defined as the inability to afford healthy food for all family members, affected 37 million U.S. households even before the start of the disease outbreak. That's due in part to widening income inequality, which has undercut the economic gains during the weak recovery that followed the Great Recession. But food shortages are on the rise as unemployment has surged into double digits and many workers are furloughed without pay. Excuse me. More than 10% of households said they sometimes or often didn't have enough to eat in early June, the St. Louis Fed found. That compares with about 8% of households experiencing food scarcity before March 13, when states began shutting down businesses and layoffs spiked according to census data. With at least 21 million workers out of a job, 17 million additional Americans are at risk of becoming food insecure. Feeding America, a nonprofit coalition of food banks, said in a recent report. The lines of food at emergency feeding sites offer a picture of a human suffering that data can only begin to explain. According to a June 18th letter from Feeding America, along with more than 2,500 other advocacy organizations seeking increased funding for food stamps that was sent to Senate leaders. This crisis demands a response this crisis demands a response that is commensurate with its scope and seriousness. I'm trying to share this video. Once again, I'm talking about Matthew 24:7, where nations shall rise against nations and kingdoms against kingdom. I mentioned last night there was a shootout in Southeast DC that left a 17-year-old boy dead and 20 others wounded.
People seeking help feeding their families.
People think that when the Bible says nations against nations and kingdom against kingdom, they're talking about countries against countries. But right here in our own nation, you have people fighting against each other and killing each other in the black nation. And y'all wonder why they don't like us. And y'all get mad when they say things about us that are true. That's savage behavior. The event was supposed to be peaceful, a peaceful event. But it turned out to be not so peaceful when people just decided they wanted to shoot. Okay, let me share this video.
Have been shocking. The numbers are too. In April, more than 1 in 5 U.S. households reported not having sufficient resources to buy food. That number increased to 2 in 5 households, 41% for mothers with children 12 and under. Go now to Dallas and Claire Babineau-Fontenot. She is the CEO of Feeding America, the nation's largest hunger relief organization. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
We've heard the statistics in terms of who is most vulnerable and how hard they are getting hit. We also know that food prices had their biggest spike in decades just last month. This seems like the perfect storm. What are you seeing at your facilities right now? Who is coming and what do they need?
Well, Margaret, I think you used the right term. It is, in fact, the perfect storm. We're seeing a marked increase in demand to the tune of, on average, 60% more people showing up in need of our services. And at the time that we're having that increase in demand, we have a decrease in donations, we have an increase in cost of food, and we have a decrease in volunteers. So it is, in fact, the perfect storm. So many of the people who are coming, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes, no, please. So how are you managing that? And is the person that you are serving now, as challenging as it is, different from what you saw just a few months ago? Is it a different demographic?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, that 40% on average of the people that we're seeing now have never relied upon the charitable food system before now. So we're definitely seeing different people showing up. So many of the people who are there, they're kind of familiar to us. Some of the people who were donors are now in line in need of our services. So there's been a change, to be sure, but one of the things that I think the American public simply wasn't aware of is that even before this pandemic, there were nearly 40 million people who were food insecure, and over 11 million of them were children. So we've had a challenge for a while. This pandemic has just heightened that challenge, and a lot of people are in need of help right now.
I know things like diapers aren't covered by food stamps. Are items like that what you need at your facilities? What are you looking for right now to serve, in particular, those children?
Well, we need a whole host of things. First and foremost, we need food. So what we have done is we've had a remarkable outpouring of support from across the country in terms of dollars so that we can purchase food. We've also had some assistance from the Congress and some of the legislations that's already been passed, some help from the administration in the form of deregulation so that we're able to provide that food in a new way. But there continues to be a need. I don't know that I mentioned that so far, the members of our network, just since March, have provided over 1 billion meals to people facing hunger. But our estimates are that over the course of the next 12 months, that the need just inside of our system is over 8 billion. So big need, and across all of those indices that you just described, absolutely.
Brookings said 1 in 5 American children are going hungry. I know you just told us about the pain you're seeing, particularly with kids. 41% of mothers with children ages 12 and under report food insecurity. What is it? I read that you need food and items from manufacturers, not necessarily from individuals. Explain what's changed. What do you mean by that?
Well, I know that I would limit it just to manufacturers. So maybe the best thing for me to do is to start from the top and say what the hierarchy are of things that we think are absolutely essential right now. You mentioned SNAP just a few moments ago. Truly, SNAP is formerly known as food stamps. Thank you for that. For every one meal that we're able to provide in the charitable food system, SNAP can provide 9. And one of the interesting things about SNAP is not only is it good for people right now in the middle of a pandemic and an emergency, but it's also good for the economy. We have data that shows that for every dollar invested in SNAP, the return is $1.70. So there are lots of good reasons for all of us to be thinking about and urging our members of Congress to pass additional legislation so that we can increase access to SNAP and so that we can increase the thresholds in terms of how much people can receive from SNAP. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, as I mentioned before, we're doing, by the way, may I take the opportunity to just acknowledge the remarkable people in this network and in other nonprofits as well, who are really stepping up to this challenge and providing these services. But the gap hasn't closed. We did some analysis that showed over a 6-month window, our analysis showed that in our network alone, that the gap was about $1.4 billion.
So this $3 billion that the USDA is doing in terms of taking food from farmers and bringing it to banks, that's not solving the issue.
Well, it's helping, and we hope it'll help. It's early days, and we're going to do everything in our power to make that program successful.
Okay.
Because an additional $3 billion in food would certainly be helpful right now. But the gap still won't be closed even with that effort. So my encouragement to your audience and to members of Congress and the administration and people all across the country is let's just keep trying to help and we can close this gap together.
We agree with you. Thank you so much.
And so there you have it. There you have it. Scarcity. Food is scarce across the United States of these territories. And I'm talking about Matthew 24:7. Matthew 24:7. Let me tell you, Matthew 24:7. In Matthew 24, the disciples came to Jesus and asked him to give them hints or clues as to when the end times will come. And Jesus, one of the things Jesus said was, for nation shall rise against nation. Well, last night, right here in D.C., you had black kids, black people at a block party. One 17-year-old ended up dead, 20 people injured. One lady, a police officer, fighting for her life. Nation against nation. Nations shall rise against nations and kingdom against kingdom. That doesn't necessarily mean China against the United States. It doesn't necessarily mean Russia against China. And there shall be famines. We have a food shortage across the United States of this America right now as I speak. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. It's coming, y'all. There's a shortage of food across this United States of this here America right now. And pestilences. That's what the coronavirus is, a pestilence. And the next one, earthquakes in diverse places, is close to me because in my hometown of Kinston, North Carolina, they recorded an earthquake. And that's very rare. Very rare. The last earthquake recorded in my hometown of Kinston, North Carolina was 14 years ago. Kinston, North Carolina, for those of you all who don't know, it's a very small city in Lenoir County, North Carolina. Population is only 21,677 as of the 2010 census. It has been the county seat of Lenoir County since its formation in 1791. It is located in the Coastal Plains region of eastern North Carolina. And there was a minor earthquake on Monday morning, last Monday. Officials with the U.S. Geological Survey say a minor earthquake struck North Carolina on Monday morning. According to WITN, the 2.1 magnitude quake was detected shortly after 7 a.m. on Sandy Foundation Road, south of Kinston, North Carolina. USGS officials tell WITN the earthquake occurred about 3 miles below ground. A resident told WITN she heard an explosion and her house and neighborhood shook. Lenoir County officials say there have been no reports of injuries or damage as a result of the quake. Most who felt it were in south of Kinston. According to WITN, the last earthquake recorded in eastern North Carolina was a 3.8 magnitude quake that struck Pamlico County in 1994. Matthew 24:7, y'all. For nations shall rise against nations, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. This is what Jesus told his disciples when they asked him to show them some signs, give them some clues as to when the end times will come. We are living in the end times, y'all, whether y'all want to believe it or not. Matthew 24:7. It's happening right now as we speak. Well, again, nation shall rise against nation. We had that big shootout last night or early in the wee hours of the morning in Washington, D.C. It's not the first time it happened. It probably won't be the last. There was a shootout also in Kinston last night. Well, I don't know if it was a shootout, but I know there was a shooting in Kinston last night. Famines. I just read an article where there's a shortage of food across the United States of this here America. And pestilences. We are living in a pandemic right now. The coronavirus is affecting people across the world right now. And then we have earthquakes in diverse places. Kinston, North Carolina does not get earthquakes, but they got one last Monday. Take heed, people. Take heed. This is no joke. The Messiah, the King of all kings, is on his way back. Take heed to what I'm telling you. It's your girl BeeSparrow, Buzz Tweet Radio, and I'm out.